All right, my name is Jordan Jankus, and I'm with ARC of Westchester. I'm a technologist here at ARC of Westchester, and I invite everybody to welcome everybody to our first webinar on technology, useful tech for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we have two folks on this end, and we have quite a few people on the other end. We're going to have up to 25 folks today. And I'll be presenting and talking about some of the details, and I'm also joined by Rick Swirat, who's the Executive Director from ARC of Westchester. So Rick, perhaps you could introduce yourself?
As Jordan has indicated, I'm the Executive Director here at the ARC of Westchester. In many ways, I'm the chief strategist for the organization, and as such have the role of encouraging the use of technology to support cognitively people in their everyday life skills, and also to develop partnerships with a number of community organizations to help us to become more proficient in that area. Jordan?
Okay. So what we're talking about today is just a sampling of technology. It's impossible to cover everything since there's over 4 million apps in the Apple and the Google store and tons of websites and other resources. So this is just meant to give you some basic ideas on thinking about using tech as a possible tool to help people with disabilities become more independent and more fully included in the world. No one is the ultimate expert in this field. There's just too much to know out there. The most important outcome of this webinar, I mean this sincerely, is that we begin an exchange of information amongst all the people that are on this webinar and that attend our conferences, that we can all learn from each other. So before going any further, just some housekeeping items. At the end of this webinar, we're going to provide you with some materials. One is a list of tech resources that we have, applications for smartphones and tablets, also links and various other things. We also have an evaluation tool that you're welcome to try and use individually. And we will be sending a link out to the PowerPoint for this presentation. Probably within the week, we'll have a recording of this event all edited down, and it will be on our website, and we'll send you a link to that. So there'll be plenty of information. As we go along, we really appreciate it. One of the items that you can do on your end, there is a poll that I'm going to launch now, and I'd really appreciate it if you could just give us an idea of who you are. If you're an individual with a disability, a parent, a special ed teacher, someone from another agency or our own agency, or a rehab professional, an OT, PT, communication professional, nursing, whoever you are, if you can give us an idea of who our audience is, that would be great. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds here if you'll just check in. So just to give you some background on me, my job at the ARC of Westchester is to help people learn about the potential of tech. My audiences are individuals with disabilities, their families, and direct care staff. I came into this field really through my daughter, Jessica. She's now 37, but I've been working with her for years with technology, trying to use it as a tool to empower her. I was one of the first to purchase an Apple IIc way back in the 80s, and now we progressed to an iMac and an iPad. And the iPad has been revolutionary for Jessica. It's a device that she picks up by herself. I don't have to turn on the computer and get her involved. She does this just on her own, and it's pretty amazing to see just the feedback that she gets from it. So we've been trying to learn more about the possibility of technology for several years now. And the more that we try to learn about technology, the more we're connected with local and national organizations, and giving us a focus on finding practical solutions for the functional needs of the people that we serve. I'm going to let Rick maybe just talk a little bit about some of the folks that we've partnered with.
The important thing that we have learned here at the Arc of Westchester is that we can't just start our own initiative without having support with outside partners who may have greater access to information and knowledge regarding this field. So as a result, not only did we reach out to Jordan because of his own personal experiences, but we reached out to local universities and colleges and some of our other collegial organizations to see where folks are starting to apply the use of technology. Our most successful alliance at this point that has been here since 2014 is our partnership with Mercy College in Dobbs Ferry, where graduate students are now assigned to work with individuals in our services and supports. They come from the OT, PT, communication, nursing departments. They work with various individuals who are identified as having an interest and have useful skills in the area of tech themselves. If someone doesn't have useful skills in tech, then we assign a student to start working with them to learn how to use various technology for their own purpose. Earlier this year, we partnered with Mercy College to conduct our first joint conference, Tech Supports for Cognition and Learning, at their Dobbs Ferry campus. Over 200 people attended this event, and we are scheduled to have an event in 2017. The date that we have on the calendar now is Friday, May 19th. So you can watch for that announcement. We also have included a larger sister organization, our New York City AHRC. This organization has also been experimenting with the use of technology and in support of individuals, using a little bit different approach than we have. So this is something that we're learning along the way. What kind of approach works best within the service organization? Earlier this year, we were one of 6 organizations from out the country that were awarded a grant from the Coleman Institute in Colorado to help publicize our efforts and initiatives. This webinar is sponsored through this grant with Coleman, and part of our obligation and interest in informing the community of interest about the use of technology in supporting people cognitively.
All right. I'm just going to show the results of our poll asking for the various categories. Just going to quickly show it and give you an idea of who our audience is at the moment. Okay, and hopefully now everybody can see our PowerPoint, and we'll go on to the next slide, which talks about some of the outreach that we've been doing here. In addition to the conferences that we've done, we are also now giving individual and group instruction on a variety of technology subjects, including internet safety and practical daily use of the iPad beyond just the world of gaming and music. We're very grateful to the Coleman Institute, and its grant has allowed us to develop this webinar and expand our webpage to include more technology resources. After this session, if you go to our technology page, you'll see notices about a blog, tech resources, the upcoming conference, whole bunch of things. So please make use of it.
One of the things that we have discovered, and it should not be a surprise to any of us, is that particularly our younger students who are coming in through transition services are walking in with devices in their pocket now. However, many of those individuals are using it simply for gaming or just straight communications with their loved ones. It's our intent to use off-the-shelf, what's-in-your-pocket type technology to help individuals become much more independent in their lives.
So, again, our thanks to the Coleman Institute, and they raised an incredibly important issue with this declaration. Each day, millions of people shop on Amazon, send emails and texts, surf the net, send pictures to each other, check out sports scores, or book vacation trips on Travelocity. But are these experiences open to everyone? Are the pages and their navigation easily understood, or is it a frustrating experience for many people with cognitive disabilities? There's been a lot of focus over the years on helping people with sensory issues, visual impairments, hearing, motor issues, but there hasn't been too much focus on people who have difficulty understanding things. Cognitive challenges are diverse and broad, making this a difficult but very important area to focus upon. Also, while we can get a single-use assistive technology device like a Dynavox funded for thousands of dollars, why can't we get our government to pay for smartphones and tablets that cost much less and in many ways do much more for people who really need them? And also, there's the issue of, does everybody have access to broadband services? Things that we all take for granted, but for people with cognitive disabilities, it's the exception rather than the law. So I'm just going to click on this link, and hopefully we'll go out to the web, and you can get a little flavor for the declaration and how it came about. So here we go.
The United States Constitution starts with the words, "We the people," and attached to it is a Bill of Rights, which sets out individual liberties and justice and the opportunity for people to have equal treatment under the law.
At this point now, I have the high honor of presenting the rights of people with cognitive disabilities and technology access.
The Declaration of Rights for People with Cognitive Disabilities to Technology and Information is really a statement of where we think the American Disabilities Act left off.
It outlines the various ways in which people with disabilities should have the same kind of access to technology and the internet and all forms of interaction in today's technological world.
Also, it promotes a definition of disability based on the social model, where the focus is not on the individual and the need to adapt the individual to society, but the focus is on the social barriers encountered by the individual, by people in general, and the need to adapt society to the wide range of abilities that exist in society.
But what's most important about the declaration is it is a joint declaration where many organizations from across the country representing various components of the disability field have come together and agreed on this statement around the principles in the declaration.
So there you get a flavor for what the declaration is about. And, you know, people with cognitive disabilities need access to everyday, affordable technology. Lugging around a Dynavox is not exactly the most liberating thing in the world. It's rather stigmatizing. People with cognitive disabilities should have a right to broadband access. You know, basic literacy is important, but so is digital literacy.
So we encourage everyone to go into the website at the Coleman Institute and sign the declaration. The Board of Directors of the ARC of Westchester has done so through its own resolution, and we have been encouraging staff as well as families to do the same.
And making technology available to people with cognitive disabilities is a huge but important undertaking, and it includes not only people with developmental disabilities, but also stroke victims, those with traumatic brain injury, and complications from Alzheimer's disease. Access to technology should be a civil right. Help us include everyone in this digital world. So, I think Rick and I both approach things from a very practical viewpoint. What can we do with everyday technology to help people? It's just one tool amongst many that we have. Nothing can replace a loving and caring caregiver that can teach someone. Nothing can replace actually going out into the world and working or volunteering and getting those experiences. But tech is another tool. And there's low tech and there's high tech. On these pictures that are on this PowerPoint slide, there's a picture of somebody using an iPad on the right, but on the left is a picture of somebody doing something very low tech, using a pencil that just has an accommodation on it to make it easier to hold. So we're talking about things that are practical. We're asking all of you, because all of us are experts, especially the parents out there that live with this every day. Try and be creative. Use your imagination. And whatever works, works. Good apps or other tech resources don't have to be directed just at people with special needs. There's an awful lot of apps out there that were made, and we'll show some of them. They were made with the idea of a general public with no concept that they would help people with cognitive disabilities, but they do. So use anything that works. Now, a good way to start this whole process is to take a tech snapshot. This is a simple evaluation tool, and you'll be getting this in the materials at the end of the webinar, that we developed here at ARC of Westchester when a parent group, Parents for Empowering Citizens with Autism, approached us and asked us to develop some practical things that their young adults could do with their iPads. Lots of them were on YouTube, lots of them were playing games, but they wanted them to come up with practical uses. So this tool, it's a good first step that could lead to many more discussion and ideas. It gives you an inventory just to look at the individual, and as part of the process, you know, they may think about things that they didn't think about before. What are their dreams? What are their hopes? What kind of things are they good at? Are they good at math? Do they need help with money skills? Do they need help in learning? Do they want to go and live in the community? Who knows? The whole list is out there. But it's a pretty helpful tool. And we thank the foundation for giving us the funds to develop the tool for them. Okay, so some of the best things I've learned over the years in supporting my daughter Jessica has been the good advice of other parents. So let's use that advice. Look around. Use a thing called Google. It's out there. The answer is probably out there for your particular situation. And if it isn't, the first time that you try it, try again. It's out there somewhere. And if we can't find it through Google or through the resources of other parents, friends, or direct support professionals, I know, having conversations with software developers like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, they're very interested in coming up with solutions for the cognitively disabled. Tell them what your issues are. They all have sites that include email contacts. Tell them your issues, and perhaps they can design a solution. I was at a conference just a couple of weeks ago, and one parent whose daughter uses an iPhone, when they upgraded the operating system to the latest, what her daughter used it for didn't work. So she was a great mother. She contacted Apple and told them that you have to redesign your operating system. Don't take away what my daughter had. And amazingly enough, they did it. They upgraded their software. So it's important to speak up and let people know what you need.
Another thing that's really important that we've learned along the way, and Jordan will be talking about later, is keeping a library of these apps that you have discovered or things that you have learned to use that have been useful for a person. These libraries then can be shared among and between ourselves so that it can be readapted to somebody else's life. Very important in the process that we're going through is that we have a sharing community in what we have learned.
And you'll see when you get a chance to go to the Arc of Westchester Technology page that there's lots of opportunities for you to give your input on technology. There's lots of resources there, but the way we're going to build them is if you share your personal experiences. So network with self-advocates, networking with their peers, network with friends, attend every conference that you can, listen to our webinars and webinars of other folks out there. There's a lot of developers that have webinars on a regular basis that specialize in apps for people with special needs and just generally. So use the resources that are out there. Now, so let's get on to the actual apps that can help people. Nothing is better to start with than what actually comes with a device. The Android devices have similar things to what's on the Apple devices. Here I'm featuring the Apple system, but there's so many things that are there that come with it naturally as part of the software. The basics include things like a clock that wakes you up, which is a pretty important thing if you've got a job or you've got to have to go to program or whatever. You can use it to measure how long you spend on a task, use it when you're cooking as a timer, and of course, besides waking you up, it can also get you out the door. And a web browser like Safari or Google Chrome, they're incredible resources. And now Google has an interface on it that allows you just to ask things naturally. How much is 2 plus 2? And you'll get the answer 4. I hope you'll get that answer. And you can ask for a lot of things with the voice input feature on the Google Chrome browser on an Android device or on an Apple device. And just ask the question, you know, what is the next train to New York City? And it'll sense your direction, your location, and tell you the nearest train and what time it's leaving the station. Pretty amazing stuff. I have seen such responses using iPads and iPhones of using the camera. Just having people take pictures of each other is such an empowering thing. Having them take pictures of themselves, their peers, their family, their staff, it's incredible. And if you're trying to teach somebody a complicated task, say somebody just got a job at McDonald's and they have 50 different tasks that they have to accomplish in the hours that they're there, break it down, take a picture of each task and build it into something that will help you. So you could take those pictures and go and use them in programs on the outside. The programs here that I'm showing, they are, for the most part, pay. A lot of them have trial versions that will get you to a certain point. But those trials are okay just to start, but lots of times they can get kind of confusing because they go into in-app purchases. But even if they're expensive, their version of expenses is $20 and less. There's very few applications out there that go into the hundreds of dollars. They're mostly affordable. So there's 4 million apps out there. I don't pretend to know them all. There's some that are excellent. Some of them kind of like repeat the features of others. And then there's some apps that aren't very good. Not so much. So the good thing is that, you know, a lot of the applications are affordable. And there's a classic example here of CanPlan. This is under $20, developed by the University of Victoria. And you can take an activity, like they're showing here on this picture, making coffee in the morning, break that process down into each of its components so that it's easily understood and that the person can accomplish the tasks on their own. And it has timers attached to it, and each time you finish a task, you can put a check mark on it. And so this is a great way for getting people to get out the door in the morning after they finish a lot of different things. And just think of the possibilities of this in a job coaching situation, like I mentioned, McDonald's, or learning independent living skills. We had one instance that maybe Rick wants to talk about of an individual that we support here that had a hard time getting out the door on time.
Actually, we have a couple of stories on that level, but one particular individual had problems with managing his time getting out the door. And so by using a series of music, which was the way he's told time, and the reminder through the CAN plan on his iPad as to what was next in order to get himself prepared, our staff and the assigned clinician student from the graduate program were able to reduce his time in half. It used to take 60 minutes for him to get ready and go out the door. It's now down to under 30 minutes, and we're hoping to get it down to 15 minutes at some point in the future. We've also used the CAN plan and the iPad systems to support learning and how to tie a tie. We have one individual who really enjoys being well dressed in the morning, but tying a tie was always the job of the residence counselor rather than the individual himself. And now he's at a point where he feels much more independent because he does that. And one of his housemates was assigned the duty of setting the table at night and knowing where to put the fork and the knife and the spoon and the plate and the napkin, which I always screw up at home, and my wife reminds me, has now been done rather formalized in this particular residence, and every day that's a job for this individual. So there are a variety of ways that these apps and this CAN plan process can be used to make somebody feel accomplished and independent.
So we'll move on to another app that's similar to CAN plan, a little more graphic, and this is called First Then Visual Schedule, and this helps people reduce the complexity of their world. And I'm going to click on this link here, and it should take us to a little video that will show some of the features of the app. I won't play the whole thing in interest of time, but this will be included on your PowerPoint copy.
Hi, it's Amanda Hartman here from the Spectromics Consultancy team. Here's a really, really quick blog into this app here, which is a new team favorite of ours. It's called First Then Visual Schedule HD. It's a good Karma app, and there was an older version of this. They've now done a whole brand new app as a new release, and it's fantastic. It now supports both choice boards and videos, which is just fantastic. So let's pop into it and check it out. And this is what it looks like. So when you come in, you'll see that there are a few samples: Saturday chores, getting dressed, morning school return. So let's have a look at one of the ones that's already there. So what we're looking at is we're just in use mode at the moment. Of course, we can go into edit mode in a second and show how to do it. So let's say we're organizing to get dressed in the morning. Now the idea is that it's got a sequence of things that you need to do. So think about, you could be setting up a schedule for them of the steps to get dressed in the morning, their timetable for the day, steps of mini tasks that they need.
So that's a good example of another app in addition to CAN plan. And a nice feature of this is you can add a lot of audio to it, the voice of a parental voice, a caregiver, or the individual's own voice. And another great app is a simple one. I think this one costs $4.99, very expensive, called Home Routines. And if you forgot to do something around the house because you're watching Judge Judy, this is a great way to bring you back to what you're doing. If you're supposed to call paratransit and book your ride for the next day, if you're supposed to water the plants and do your laundry, this will help you keep on task, and it will also give you rewards in the form of stars that you can keep track of how well you're doing during the course of a week. I'm not going to play the video on this in the interest of time, but please take a moment and go to that link when you get a chance. And then we have Google Maps, a fantastic, fantastic program. It allows you on your iPhone or on your tablet to get to places by bus, by walking, by car, and it's very hard to get lost from this app. I just used it in Boston a couple of weeks ago when I couldn't figure out my way around the city, and it was wonderful. Plus, it gives you voice input. So you could just say to Google, what's the nearest pizza parlor? Maybe that's not a good thing to teach somebody, but it'll teach you, it'll show you the location of the nearest pizza shop. And the desktop version, which is a little more, has a little more depth to it, gives a lot of more pictures and places. It shows you not only the exteriors of buildings, but also the interiors of a lot of places. You can actually go into the Metropolitan Museum of Art and walk around it. Somebody, Google has actually gone in and taken pictures of it. So that's pretty impressive. Just think about what this could do if somebody was going to be moving into a new town, doesn't know much about the town, but you can actually sit down with them and show them where, you know, the local churches are, where the local resources are in the town. And it's a great way to get a lay of the land before you actually visit the location. And here's an app that I know as a parent, we're always concerned about how our children are doing, especially if they're out there working in the community or volunteering or they're on their own taking a bus. This is an app called Life 360, and for people that are traveling independently, it's great, and it gives you basically a network that you can build of the individual who's traveling, his network of family members and friends, and it will show where that individual is at all times and the other members of his circle. These are all voluntarily given. Nobody can know where you are unless you want it to be known. And you can also send messages between the individuals. And if there's an emergency, something goes wrong, somebody's at a location and they lose their wallet or something like that, that causes panic, they can press a button and it'll send out an alert to everybody in the circle. This is a program that's pretty well regarded. Everybody has to go shopping, and shopping really should be more than just taking the groceries out of the car. You should actually go and shop with your family, by yourself, with your staff, but have that experience. And this is an app that was designed by a company that their main focus is coupons, but it can really help people go out into the community. And dollars and cents, a lot of folks have issues on money skills. This is a good practice for them to, there's even a part of this app there, it's like a vending machine. You put the right amount of coins in it, and all of a sudden the vending machine opens and there's a sandwich or a pretzel there, make-believe, of course. But it's a great first step in helping people learn money skills. And if you work with somebody with this app, the best thing is right after you've been working with them is to reinforce what they learn by giving them the real experience. Take them shopping, go into a store, and let them actually try their money skills. And then there's a whole nother world of learning. There are a few things that you can't learn on YouTube. And that and Facebook are where most people go. I find it fascinating that so many guys these days are on Facebook, but they don't use email. They use Facebook or text. These are the things that everybody uses each day. So YouTube is not just for looking at Beyonce, but it's also a great source for learning opportunities. The ideal situation would be for an individual to watch these videos along with their peers and caregivers, and then have a discussion about the material. What can they teach each other? And I'll show some clips from this. This I wish my son had watched when he was away at college, and he used to bring all his laundry home.
Hey,
let's talk laundry. The bare essentials: number 1, laundry. Number 2, a washer and dryer, unless you want to hand wash, in which case more power to you. Number 3, detergent, which can be liquid or powder. And number 4, optional, if you're interested, is bleach to wash things like all white shirts, or fabric softener if you want to reduce static cling and make your fabrics feel a little softer. Personally, I don't use fabric softener because my dermatologist told me it irritates my skin. That is a thing that can happen. That was probably a little bit personal, but you and I are on this level.
It's a fun series of videos because they're kind of hip and they're not the usual staid stuff that you see on some training on life skills. Here's one on how to cook spaghetti.
So last time I showed you what was in my kitchen. You can check that out here. But this time I thought, let's use this kitchen and this kitchen stuff to make something delicious. No, I'm not a cooking expert. I can't whip up a ratatouille like that super smart rat in that movie Ratatouille. But I do know how to prepare a few basic things. So today, let's make some spaghetti and tomato sauce. What are you going to need? A stove top, a pot for pasta, a pot for sauce, pasta and sauce, a colander, a sink, a spoon for stirring, and lastly, the inclination to make spaghetti. Let's talk sauce first. You've got your long...
All right, so you guys get the idea on that. And I wonder if anybody in the audience has a bad habit. Here's a quick video on how do you break a bad habit.
Hey, to quote William James, the father of modern psychology, all our life, so far as it has definite form, is but a mass of habits. And that is a positive news story for us, because without habits, every little thing we did would require a conscious decision. Should I leave the house through the door or the window? Should I open the door with my hand or my butt? So if you are like everybody on the planet, you probably have some bad habits you would like to get rid of, and you probably have some good habits that you'd like to start doing. So today we've got 3 tips for breaking bad habits and making awesome ones. Tip number 1, replace a bad habit with a good one. So let's say you're kind of out of shape and you want to become the one who jogs. Or maybe you watch too much reality TV. Real cat punchers.
Okay, and then there's another one on how to keep your room clean. I need this personally at home in my home office. And here's one on social skills.
Hello. It's a pleasure being here. I would like to talk to you about communication. Life skills. So some important things that you need to remember about being a human in the world with other humans is that you need to listen to people when they're talking to you. You need to pay attention, and there are certain things you can do when you're talking to them that can help you communicate so you guys can understand what each other's needing. I'm not listening to you. Another thing is that you should ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions. Who, what, when, where, why.
So again, these are great videos to sit down with a group of people and talk about them. Sometimes they're a little bit fast, and I worry that if somebody was just watching it by themselves, they may get a little confused. But it's a great place to just sit down and talk and see if people have personal examples of what's being shown on the screen. So great resources, and guess what? YouTube is free. And it's worth repeating that we want to focus really on what are simple, practical, everyday technologies that we can use for the people that we support. We want to learn from each other. Things don't have to be the fanciest technology. They can be the basic technology, things that come with your devices. And we can network with each other. Nothing is ever going to replace a human being in this world as far as somebody that's caring and a great teacher. But boy, there's a lot of things that people can do more independently than they get the chance to do, and technology can help that.
And remember that all of us have technology in our pocket, including the people that we support. Let's make that technology supportive of the people that we support and allow them to be much more independent. There's nothing that looks more natural than somebody using an iPhone or an Android or an iPad in the community while, like everybody else, while supporting them in their daily life skills.
And here are some things just to think about going forward. Please visit our Arc of Technology webpage. Again, you'll be getting a copy of this PowerPoint, so you just click on the link when you get it. And join in the conversation and stuff. We have some blogs up there now. Suggest other things that we should talk about. I'd love to know from you what other webinars you would like to see. I've been thinking about things about communication, ways that people can use tech to communicate better. We're going to do a future session on digital storytelling, but we could also do one on person-centered techniques. And there's lots of apps out there that'll let allow the rest of the world to get to know them, which is so important for self-advocacy. And then we have created a web page on the Facebook, and I appreciate it if you would check in there. A lot of things from the blog and other things are going to be posted to the Facebook page, and again, we'd love a dialogue. Our next webinar is going to be on December the 5th at 4:30. We're going to talk about using technology and apps to tell your personal story. This will include things like video, but something even basic as PowerPoint. I know I've had a lot of dealings with a teacher down in New Rochelle, and she makes sure that everybody in her life skills class does a PowerPoint about themselves, and when they go into their IEP meeting, they show their PowerPoint. That's basic available tech that is actually so empowering. And then we're going to have a session, like Rick had mentioned, on May 19th, 2017, our next conference, and we're going to have more partners involved in it, AHRC and the Westchester Library System. And we have a keynote speaker, Dr. Kathy Bodine from the University of Colorado. She's doing some amazing things about adapting a typical warehouse to allow for people that have cognitive and attentional issues and making it a place for more folks to be employed. She has a lot of research regarding that and other things in assistive technology. You saw Peter Blank earlier on that Coleman video. He's an attorney that has been promoting technology as part of the rights that should be considered as part of the ADA. He is going to be one of our speakers. And then we have a gentleman from the Kennedy Shriver Institute in Boston who's going to be talking about making the web, complicated things on the web, more understandable, taking complicated text and making it accessible by people that have maybe a second or third grade reading level. So fascinating stuff, along with lots of breakout sessions where you get a lot of hands-on experiences. We'll have a representative from Apple Computing coming to that. So lots of things ahead, lots of ideas, and I hope you'll be part of it.